Okay, Dharma friends, let me wish you the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem for a happy and peaceful evening. It is Saturday, August 10. We are going to begin this evening Sutta studies. Today I join with you from Mississauga Buddhist Center. I have been here for the weekend for some programs. This morning I started a day-long meditation program with some of our friends here, and we finished it successfully. And now the last program for me today is this Sutta studies, and I hope you could join and participate in the discussion meaningfully, so that we can make another effort to cultivate the Dhamma. Let us begin the Sutta study class by paying homage to the Supreme Buddha. May these venerations and respect to the Supreme Buddha help us as a merit to understand the Dhamma better and make our journey to enlightenment quicker and finalize our practice in the noble Dhamma and Vinaya. With that in mind, I'm going to recite Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. I pay my homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Dear friends in Dhamma, today we are going to discuss a new sutta in the Sutta study class. It is Parvimansana Sutta, recorded in Samyutta Nikaya. Sutta number, if I tell you exact sutta number, it is Samyutta Nikaya 1251, and this is from Nidana Samyutta Nidana Vagga, sutta number 51. Parivimansana, an inquiry, if the translation is inquiry. This sutta talks about the Paticca Samuppada. Paticca Samuppada should be understood by everyone in order to end suffering. The suffering should be understood with the basis of Paticca, and the getting out of suffering also should be understood and practiced based on Paticca. This has been talked a lot for many years. We know the fact that how important the Paticca is, but since it is mostly widespread teaching in the Buddha's teaching, it's not only to simply understand, it's not easy to understand, its scope is so vast, but when you look at it, you feel better. So this sutta inquiry, or Parivimansana, by its title, says we have to investigate about the Paticca in our mind, because all the aspects of Paticca are not out of our mind. If you talk about avidya is not existing in a wall, in a house, in a tree, in the sky. Avidya is a state of mind when the mind is not geared by wholesome qualities. Avidya is likened to darkness, and with darkness we cannot see anything. Likewise, the dark of our mind is avidya, and it is a mental quality. If we take another one for understanding upadana. Upadana is not outside, it's not something outside. It is a form of mental state. When we basically attach to something else and do not want to go away, it's called attachment. Attachment to rituals, attachment to this and that. So these are all mental state. All the steps of Paticca are nothing but mental state. So then this inquiry should be in our mind, about the nature of our mind. Let's go to the sutta. and read it carefully to see the map of the sutta. The direction of the sutta is always should be understood. That's how we remember the suttas, so that the organization of the Dhamma in mind is happening very clearly. Thus, I have heard at one time the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jetas Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. There, the Buddha addressed the monks. Yeah, this sutta was taking place while the Buddha was at the Jetvanarami monastery, and the Buddha himself talked to the monks without any words from the monks. The bhikkhus over there responded the Buddha, yes, Venerable Sir. Then the Buddha started saying this statement, monks, when a monk is inquiring, how do you define when they are inquiring for the complete ending of suffering? For example, when a monk is inquiring, how does he do it to end suffering? So your inquiry should be powerful to end suffering. Otherwise, that any inquiry for any other reason is not valid for us. We have inquiries about murder cases. We have inquiries about various other cases, economic crackdown and political upheaval. We have investigation for these, mundane matters, but they are not expecting anything peaceful in mind. So this inquiry we talk about now is about ending suffering. So what kind of inquiry we need to have to end suffering? So that's what we are going to find out in the sutta. Our teachings are rooted in the Buddha. He is our guide and our refuge. Sir, Bhante, Venerable Sir, may the Buddha himself please clarify the meaning of this. The monks will listen and remember it after that. So the response came from the monks that it is you who know the Dhamma very well, and we are all depending on you, Venerable Sir. If you explain this teaching as the response to the question, the monks will remember it for a long time. We can see this kind of conversation from the Buddha and between Buddha and Sangha sometime, depending on the severity of the Dharma they are explained. Otherwise, if monks do not have any clue of what Dhamma the Buddha is talking about, usually monks say this. Our teaching is rooted on the Buddha, so you better explain us so then we can follow it. Then the Buddha said, well, monks, listen and pay attention to what I speak. Then they agreed, and the Buddha started the Dharma explanation there in the sutta from here. Monks take the one who wants to end suffering with the inquiry, consider suffering that arises in the world starting with old age and death, takes many and diverse form. So the Buddha started this statement that if a monk should do an inquiry for ending suffering, the first thing he should investigate or inquire is the suffering that arises in the world, starting with old age and death, take many and diverse form. So, what is the source and origin, birthplace, inception of the suffering? What is the source of suffering? When what exists do old age and death come to be? So these are some of the questions the inquirer should have in his mind. First one is, so we know the fact that suffering exists in the world. So with that in mind, we have to ask this question: what is the source or origin of suffering? After that question, when what exists do old age and death come to be? When what does not exist do old age and death come to be? while making an inquiry, they understand. So when you have some of those questions in your inquiry, you are going to make a very nice answer for it. So why this suffering exists, and what sources and origins are there for suffering to arise, and when does not when does suffering exist? What exactly happened to us? And if you want to end suffering, what exactly we need to do? These are some of the guiding questions for us to understand the suffering itself. The answer, when making an inquiry, they understand the suffering that arises in the world, starting with old age and death, takes many and diverse forms. The source of this suffering is rebirth. When rebirth exists, old age and death come to be. When rebirth does not exist, old age and death don't come to be. So, this is a very popular way of going into Patichampada. Even the Bodhisattva ask the question, why this old age and death? Because that is the most that is the one of the most severe suffering in the formula. So you experience old age and now you are unable to do anything. So death could happen. These are stages of suffering. So you ask the question, why this happened to us? What is the source for this? And when uh, what exactly is there in our mind when we have this death and old age? The answer is birth. Due to birth, we all know the answer. Due to birth, we have old age and death and as a suffering. Unless you are born to a new life, how could you experience old age and some death? So the very simple but very important and right answer is birth. Rebirth. It's called rebirth. When rebirth exists, old age and death come to be. When rebirth does not exist, old age and death don't come to be. That's the answer for the question. They understand. They understand old age and death, their origin, their cessation, and uh, the fitting practice for their cessation, and they practice in line with the path. This is called a monk who is practicing for the complete ending of suffering, for the cessation of old age and death. So let's understand that statement. They understand old age and death, their origin, their cessation, and their fitting practice for the cessation. And when they practice in line with that path, this is called a monk who is practicing for the complete. Yeah. So, having seen the cause for aging and death, you need to treat for the cause of death and suffering. For the cause of death, that's the cause or main reason for death and also old age is birth. So, we have to take care of our mind with some kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha, any tanha that gives us next birth, we should be careful about it. Because we know the fact that if there is another future birth, we have to undergo all kinds of suffering so far we experience in this life. So we don't want suffering, we don't want to be suffered again. Then they inquire further, but what is the source of rebirth? When what exists, does rebirth come to be? And when what does not exist, does rebirth not come to be? While making an inquiry, they understand continued existence is the source of rebirth. When continued rebirth, that's called continued existence means bhava. When the bhava exists, when the bhava when the bhava is there, that is the source of birth. When existence exists, rebirth come to be. When continued existence does not exist, rebirth doesn't come to be. So, punabhava, the bhava that is expecting, is the main source of main source of what you call birth and death. So, well, before you reborn, there is an essence in our mindset that you have to have that power to get rebirth. Power is the existence of, again, any wrong, any deep rooted unwholesomeness. So when that kind of deep rooted unwholesomeness is there, rebirth is taking place. So now we all know that how we go in the Sutta, Jara Marana first, and why Jara Marana is here? Because of Jati. Why Jati is here? Because of Bhava. Now we come to know why Bhava is here. When they inquire further, what is the source of this condition existence? What is the source of this grasping? So right now, why this grasping? Grasping means clinging. Clinging means attachment, upadana. You know, bhava is because of upadana. Upadana to what? Upadana to kama, upadana to ditthi, upadana to ignorance, and so on. Upadana could happen to many, basically four, but basically it is widespread. So upadana, because when there is upadana, there is that existence into a new state of being. So here with questions, the Buddha was able to take them out that upadana become the source of bhava, and upadana is not also coming from nowhere. Upadana is also a sankhara. Upadana is also a production of previous quality before it, and upadana is because of tanha. Tanha pacchaya upadana. So tanha has been working as the root of upadana. First we have tanha. Tanha is like likeness and dislikeness of a short period of time. It comes and go. It comes and go. When tanha is there, of course, it allows all kind of negative thinking to come in. So tanha, wherever tanha is, there are many, even in ignorance. However, tanha has become a very short-lived state of mind, but when it comes to upadana, the same tanha has been strongly rooted in mind, and you attach to. You have a view now. You have a kind of argumentative method now. So it is said here that upadana exists and continue to be exist because of tanha, because of that likeness towards material things. So now we know how to go further from here. Why tanha is there? Because tanha is also a result of something. Tanha is coming from Vedana. Three types of feeling has produced tanha. So then Vedana become the source of tanha, comes from another source. Or origin of Vedana is Vedana Paccha Tanha, Salayatana Paccha Passo, Passa Paccha Vedana. In the Patissampada formula, we see that Passa contact, sensory contact, that is the main reason for Vedana, because from experience we know that if I have something hot and when I put it on my head, I feel that hotness that is produced in the sensory sense and sensory experience. Likewise, in each sense, this passa or contact is taking place. So if not passa is taking place, there won't be feeling. There won't be feeling. So now the question is put forward further that passa is a kind of result of something, and salayatana, that is the origin of passa. That means eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. These are the six senses, and these six senses, salayatana, when there are these six senses active, there is passa is taking place. The contact is taking place. And now we go further up Salayatana. How do we see the formula? Vijnana Pacha Nam Rupam, Nam Pacha Salayatana. So, mind and matter in simple translation, but in Pali, it's called Nam Rupa. In Sinhala, it's also Nam Rupa. So, Nam Rupa has become the source for Salayatana. So, these are very powerful, very deep topics. Anyhow, we understand them in a simple way. Now, Nama Rupa, one of the biggest and the very deepest question in Buddha's teaching. Anyway, Nama Rupa become the source for Salayatana. And now Nama Rupa is also having a source here. So let me go there and tell you that. What is the source of this name and form? The source of this, name and form is Vijnana. Vijnana Pacha Nam Rupam. When you think from the beginning to the end, you can see how it is to remember. So Vijnana, the conscious mind, consciousness, is the main source of Nam Rupa. We have learned this from various discussion that if Vijnana does not come, the whole process is going to collapse. For example, when you see something from your eyes, if Vijnana is not coming into play in a big role, of course we see the scenery, we see all this, but Vijnana, when Vijnana is absent there, we just do not notice anything. So from various such examples, we can say that Vijnana can do something. Vijnana makes Nama Rupa connected together. Sometimes we have Nama, sometimes we have Rupa, less Nama. So, metaphorically, understand that Nama sometimes become isolated from Rupa. Anyhow, Vijnana is making the connection. So then, what is the source of when making an inquiry? What does exist? I'm reading the wrong place. So what is the source of consciousness? The source of consciousness is Sankara. This Sankara is explained as Chetana in some cases. This Sankara is sometimes explained as Sankara itself, positive Sankara, negative Sankara, and Sankara that could only arise in a higher level of Samadhi. So anyway, Sankara is 3 in some places in this format. And then we know why Sankara is there, because of Avijja. So Avijja made Sankara to like that. So ignorance exists, choices come to be, Sankara come to be. When ignorance does not exist, Sankara does not come to be. So they understand Sankara, the origin and the cessation and the fitting practice for their cessation, and they practice in line with the path. This is called a monk who is practicing for the complete ending of suffering, for the cessation of Sankara. So basically, when we know the origin of something, particularly all these akusala state or avijja, when we know what exactly happening, we can organize our thoughts, we can organize our determination. They are all in our mind, but we need to have some sort of push. So here, when we understand the origin, the source, the cessation and practice of something in this regard, avijja, there you have the chance of good karma, doing good karma. Let me read this part. When a mendicant has given up ignorance and give rise to a knowledge, they don't make a good choice, a bad choice, an imperturbable choice, not choosing or intending. They don't grasp at anything in the world, no grasping. They are not anxious, not being anxious. They personally become extinguished. So you see the direction when mendicant has given up ignorance and give rise to knowledge. There, you cannot make a choice. You cannot have a kind of bad choice, any other choice, because uh, uh, you do not, that particular person do not attach to anything in the world. So basically, uh, we know from Parivimansana in elsewhere, you inquire about why this happened, what exactly this means. So basically, the quality of inquirer is question, not with baseless question, but with rational question. Why I am having this? Why I don't have this? How could I realize that this is bad? How could I come to an understanding that I have taken the right? So, unless you inquire, you are not going to make any difference in the daily meditation, in the daily chanting, or whatever it is, because inquiry is the clear flash torch for us to go in the darkness. So when you go to dark room, unless you have electricity, what you use is your torch. So when you use torch, every object in the room is visible to you. Likewise, friends. So the oh, the wisdom, or the total opposite of ignorance, is working for us in such a way. So here the Buddha wanted to make everyone aware of inquiry. Inquire. How do we inquire? How do we practice investigation in our mind? So I think the Buddha has given a very nice answer. So first start with something you know. Jara, Vyadi, even though you don't die right now. So Jati, Marana could be taught. So basically, the Buddha's suggestion is to start with something you know. We know Vyadi, Roga, we know stress, we know people, lack of freedom, lack of this and that. So we, from our experience, know that there are some suffering going on in our life. Then we inquire why this happened. The answer comes because of birth. Why this birth? Because of existence of various akusala. And then the because of upadana, because of this and that. So because of this and that, the suffering arises, upadana arises, and if we have enough understanding to shape it and make things clear, that is wonderful. So in this discourse, the Buddha wanted to let monks inquire about what they think, what they actually analyze. So that's what the Buddha said. I don't think monks who were there did not know about the Paticcasamuppada. Perhaps they, yes, but they waited for the Buddha to tell it. So here we have a passage which you might like. What is that? If they feel a pleasant feeling, they understand that it is impermanent. So once you go through all these investigation, your mind is going to be free, relaxed, and comfortable, because you have been dealing with something positive in the teaching for several days. So as a result, you can do something. And not only that, those who practice meditation into a greater extent should come and say that if they feel a pleasant feeling there. So the one of the best places for us to remember and practice well the Dhamma is Vedana. So here it is proved pleasant feeling. For example, right now you have pleasant feeling, and if you do Parivimansana, you have to think that this pleasant feeling is going to go depending on condition. Therefore, it is impermanent. Then it is impermanent, that they are not attached to it, and they and that they don't take pleasure in. If they feel a painful feeling, they understand that it is impermanent. So basically, whatever feeling comes, you put into real investigation. That is called they are impermanent. They are not subject to live forever. So that it is easier for us to deal with feeling, because we all know the fact that they are impermanent. So when this is done, according to the Sutta, what is that? When you investigate anything and everything, keeping anicca in mind, you don't miss many things in the Buddha's teaching. You do. So there you can do this. You can have a self investigation. Have I taught something bad for anyone? Have I done something wrong for anyone? Have I done this and so on? When you look at into the list of wholesome deed for you, you can see that various ways there are dharma to be applied. So here it says, once you know the sorry about that. Once you know that impermanent is always understood on each feeling, you have you can be away from. So basically, when you know that feeling is impermanent, you can detach from feeling, because you see that feeling is impermanent. For example, pleasant feeling is impermanent, and you can stay without attachment, because you know that it is impermanent. You know that in the next moment is going to change. So that seeing impermanence is really key for getting out of attachment. So feeling the end of the body approaching by understanding. I feel the end of the body. So particularly the enlightened person have no any attachment to pleasant or unpleasant or neutral feeling. They are very neutral. They are very neutral in with regard to many things. So when feeling arises, still arahants feel pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling, but their reaction to them is automatic, and they do not do as other people do. So therefore, arahants always feel it. However, it exists for them until they end their life cycle. So that's why it says kaya parihantike. So until you at the last day, to the last day of your existence, you can keep feeling, but when you attain to parinirvana, that is also gone. There is a simile here. Suppose a person were to remove a hot clay pot from a potter's hearth and place it down on level ground. In heat, would dissipate right there, and the shades would be left behind. In the same way, feeling the end of the body approaching, understand they understand. I feel the end of the body approaching. Feeling the end of the life approaching, they understand. I feel the end of life approaching. They understand, when my body breaks up and my life has come to an end, everything that is felt, since I no longer take pleasure in, will come cool right there. So with Arahant's experience, any type of feeling has not been developed. They stay in surface level. So when they passed away into parinirvana, they are all gone. Yeah, after that we can see some questions about various other things. When there are no name and form at all, would the sixth sense feel still be found? Yeah, reverse order is now the forward order. With when we end avidya, how could Sankara is going to exist? Of course, when Avijja is gone, Sankara could not be exist. Then one after the other, nothing is going to exist because the break is taking place at the very beginning. So it is been discussed here right after. So basically, Patichampada, explaining Patichampada is difficult because it has so many information, so many things. However, if you enter into the pool of Patichampada, investigation into them could be uh, could be done easily. Uh, so yeah, I got a note from Purnima from chat, and she was asking uh, whether something she has is right. Yes, I think she has done her homework. In other words, she has taken a very good note about Parivimansana Sutta, and she has basically showing it only to me. Anyway, when I read it, yes, Tanha Vedana. Yeah, you have the sutta started from uh, Jara and Marana. Then Jara Marana is because of birth. Birth is because of existence. Bhava. Bhava is because of Upadan. Upadan is because of Tanha. Tanha is because of Vedana. Vedana is because of Passa. And Passa exists when only six senses are there. And then six senses is going to appear because of Namrupa, and Namrupa is because of Vijnana. Vijnana is because of Sankara, and Sankara is there because of Avidya. So if you break the way you have written down is right. If I talk about the way to end this, you have to break one at least from this 12 link formula with understanding, then everything else is going to go because that's how the connection is made. Thank you for your notes. So they're okay. So this is the Parivimansana Sutta, actually inquiry, a very noble inquiry into the Patichampada. When you inquire into the Patichampada, you not only know about it, but you also cover many other aspects uh, of, uh, of our understanding. So that is it. Parivimansana Sutta from Samyutta Nikaya. I could have read the sutta entirely, but it is repetition. So you don't want to have such things today. So I gave you a summarized version of the sutta with little bit explanation. So Parivimansana Sutta is all about questioning the Patichamupadinas and other important qualities. So if you have any questions and concern now, you can talk. Today I think we have only 5 members. Sometimes we get 15, 10 and so on. Today we have 5. It's fine. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and if you have any explanation, do so. So everybody is benefited by that as well.
Venerable sir, is it okay to say something?
Yeah, please.
Now in this sutta, it starts with suffering. So that is, we go right into ultimate truth. And from there, we go step by step to understand actually what is suffering, what is the root cause of suffering, and all that comes with this. And it shows that forward and backward reflection of this Paticca how much we can understand, and how it is easy to see when this is there. This is imasmin sati idang hoti, imasmin asati dan hoti. That principle is right here for us to contemplate. And it is a good way of doing vipassana. That's the idea I had to give, because it covers the whole of Buddhism.
Yeah, indeed. True. What you said is true. And this Patichampada should be understood as a widespread teaching in the Buddha's teaching. We have told this to our friends many times. Perhaps you remember. In good side, in the we cannot say anything without Paticampada. In bad side, we cannot say anything without Paticampada. If you look at the Paticampada formula, forward and backward order, they are all talking about how suffering arises and how suffering is ended. So Paticampada is always important for us. If you look at the Four Noble Truths, dukkha is the reality of each and every one of us, including other living beings, and it is because of tanha. Now, tanha is because of what? Tanha is because of all the unwholesomeness are before that. Then now we set the flow for us to go into Noble Eightfold Path to end tanha and the suffering itself, and as a result we reach it. So basically, Four Noble Truth is also explained under the basis of Paticampada. Must mean Sati Idam Hoti. So then if you look at the 37 factors of enlightenment, none of them is explained without Paticampada. They are all Paticampada. So karma is explained Paticampada, noble dhamma is explained under the basis of Paticampada. That's why Buddha said clearly that if you see the Paticampada, you see the dhamma. If you see the dhamma, what you see there is Paticampada.
And when we say, the other point is, we can clearly understand how it goes in a cycle, because Sammaditthi Sutta also, Sariputta Thero takes the same place, birth to start with. Here also we see birth taken to start with, because then we can see the cycle that wherever you start, it comes back to the same place.
That's true. True. Yes. Is there anyone who would like to say something? Thank you, Chandrani Mani, for giving your insight about Paticampada. Yes, there are many ways to explain it. There are many suttas that talk about the topic. So basically, we have to digest the core of Paticampada into our experience, into our understanding. So seeing Paticampada should be with our mind and body. In other words, we should be able to see the Paticampada in our mind and body. They are happening Paticampada. And with when we see something, when we hear something, when we taste, smell, touch, think, that is also Paticampada is taking place there. Because of active eye, ears, nose, we see things, we hear things. And because of consciousness welcoming those sensory objects, contact is happening. Inside the contact, inside the salayatana, feeling arises, perception arises, then tanha arises, upadana arises, then suffering arises. And see how Paticampada begins practically when sensory experiences starts. So that we can feel that Paticampada is such a wonderful, wonderful teaching. Okay, so if you don't have anything to add, I would end today's Sutta discussion. It's only a 45 minutes Sutta discussion. Relatively, the Sutta is a short one, but we could have taken many other discourses into the discussion to support this discourse. But I think, is there anyone who wants to talk? Give me a second. I have something in the chatting box. Yeah, Dittyupadana, Kamupadana, Dittyupadana. Yeah, Bante, you said that Upadana has, I think, I said only Kama and Dittyupadana. The other two are Attavad Upadana and Silabhat Upadana. Attachment to practices and rituals, Silabhatupadan and Attavatupadan, attachment to self. Okay, you're welcome. So that's from the chatting box. All right, so we took different discourse today. Basically, we take discourses from Majjhima Nikaya because of the length of the discourses and the number of factors we have in the discourse to discuss. We'll move a little bit from Majjhima Nikaya to Samyutta Nikaya this week and find out the Vimansana Sutta, Paravimansana Sutta from Samyutta Nikaya, section number 12, and Sutta number is 51, and we will be able to discuss Dharma there into a certain extent, and I hope you further do your investigation, Parivimansana, to sharp your wisdom, to give that opportunity for wisdom to break those unwholesome state of mind. When the wisdom is sharp and keen, then you can make holes of those unwholesome state first and weaken them. So wisdom is first weakening the ignorance and later destroy them completely. So may you have that wisdom by understanding Patisampada here in this discourse and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this very life. With that in mind, I'm going to end today's Sutta discussion. Today I join with the discussion from the Toronto Mississauga Buddhist Vihara, and I thank monks for providing me this opportunity here to sit and do my program. And I am thankful for you for coming into the Sutta discussion and understand the Dharma as it is. May we all attain Nirvana by the power of these merits. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.